Good morning, I'm Sunetra Choudhury, political editor of the Hindustan Times, bringing you all that you need to know about COVID-19 on Friday, the 11th of September. Our top story, Parliament session starts on Monday, and ahead of that, they have been testing all officials. All MPs, of course, have already been asked to test before they appear in Parliament. And anybody who attends Parliament, whether it's a journalist covering or the leaders attending, all have to have a negative RT-PCR test. Now, in those tests that are being conducted among the officials, at least 50 of them have tested positive. So there is cause for concern, especially because the Parliament session is being held in Delhi, which has seen a resurgence and new highs in the number of daily cases, more than 4,000 that are being reported just out of the capital. So 50 tests that have been done so far, 50 officials testing positive. Amidst all of this, a lot of leaders who are older are saying that they may not attend Parliament regularly. Among them, Sonia Gandhi has already left the country to go abroad for a routine test. Other leaders like Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister, A.K. Antony, former Defence Minister, former Union Minister Vyala Ravi, a lot of Trinamool leaders who are above 65, they will not be attending Parliament regularly. In fact, Dr. Manmohan Singh said, his office said that he would be attending on the first day, but after that it is not certain because of the fact that they're all being advised to be careful of COVID. So that's an emerging situation. We've already been told the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla has announced that a lot of set things, routines in Parliament are being changed. For instance, everyone had to sign on and register their attendance. That won't be necessary anymore. They all will be using apps, and people won't be laying papers on the table of the House. It'll all be done electronically. Now, the other story that we have is the government, concerned about these rising numbers, has now said that all those who are symptomatic and then test negative in an antigen test, which are blood tests, must then go in for an RT-PCR test. Now, RT-PCR tests are seen as the gold standard of COVID tests, and a lot in the volumes of the testing that are being done, antigen tests are used, but they seem to have many false negatives. And so those that are symptomatic, that is, they are showing some kind of signs, whether it's fever or cough, or those that develop symptoms a day or 2 days after a negative antigen test, must go in, must be followed up, must go in for an RT-PCR test. This is something that the government has told states after there were complaints that those who were showing as negative weren't being followed up. According to scientists, the antigen test has and does throw up 15 to 20% of false negatives. So that's something that they have to be careful about. So 15 to 20% of the tests done, there could be positive cases which the test doesn't show. There seems to be bad news about vaccines yet again. Lancet has said that it has asked the authors of the Russian vaccine for clarifications. This comes after an open letter that was written by 30 experts from Europe saying that the vaccine Sputnik and the data about it, which was published in Lancet, was very unlikely and that there were several duplications. The authors of the study have, of course, said that the vaccine was well received and it was safe, but now Lancet making it clear that it has asked for clarification. This comes just a day after AstraZeneca trials have been paused after one of the participants fell ill, and they want to figure out whether it is coincidental or caused by AstraZeneca's vaccine. And finally, how does a district magistrate who's actually in charge of making sure that their area and COVID management is done safely there, how do they get married in these COVID times? We saw that in Assam's Kachar district, where the local district commissioner got married. Of course, her guests, which were less than 15, didn't know that they were invited for her wedding. They were invited for a Ganesh Puja. The groom actually came in from Pune, was quarantined before the wedding. And a day after the wedding, Kirti Jalli, the Deputy Commissioner of Kachar, was back at work, was back surveying the COVID hospital, that everything was well. Those are the news updates for now. Keep tracking them on HindustanTimes.com.